If you are a roller coaster enthusiast, you've probably heard a thing or two about Busch Gardens Tampa's new roller coaster, Iron Gwazi. Iron Gwazi is the newest and baddest RMC hybrid coaster, and it's been said to open in 2021. Well, not all along. It's important to talk about the history of this ride before we dive into the speculation side of the video. The ride was hinted at alongside Tigris' announcement for Busch Gardens Tampa in late 2018. That means we first heard about the RMC conversion of Gwazi almost 3 years ago. That is absolutely insane. The ride was officially announced in early 2020, but we weren't given any stats at that time. All we knew was that the ride was going to be big. Really big. Soon after this, we learned that the ride would be taking the records from Steel Vengeance by some pretty minimalistic jumps and stats, but still extremely impressive stuff regardless. 206 feet tall, 76 miles per hour, and a 91-degree drop, making it the steepest hybrid coaster in the world alongside the tallest and fastest. As expected, hype for this ride started to build up at a crazy high, something that was similar to the hype that surrounded Steel Vengeance when that was announced. Fast forwarding quite a bit, construction was going well and testing began in March 2020. And I'm sure that date rings a bell for quite the unfortunate reason. Yes, it's true that right as it began testing and right before it was supposed to open to the public, we learned about the coronavirus and that it was going to be a huge problem. COVID-19 halted all construction on basically all projects around the world, not just this one. Same thing can be said about Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego, which also tested the same day Iron Gwazi started testing. So at this point, the future of Iron Gwazi, as well as most new projects, went unknown, because keep in mind, we didn't know much about the pandemic at the time. Once we started to understand the new normal and how things would have to be, we did start to hear about US parks reopening in May. Busch Gardens Tampa would follow suit in June, but what about Iron Gwazi? Well, nothing yet. At the time, ride manufacturers were actually filing liens against the SeaWorld properties for not paying them on time. That was obviously a huge red flag, but fortunately it seems that those issues have been resolved. With much anticipation, it seemed as if nothing was going on with the project and that things were put on an indefinite pause. But in November 2020, the park released something that us enthusiasts had been waiting a long time to see. No, not an opening date, but rather an official POV video. This was a big deal for two reasons. One, it gave us a better idea of how incredible this ride was going to be. Two, it meant that the park could begin teasing heavily again, which of course is always a good thing. And three, actually, this kind of ties back into the last point, but we got an approximate opening day of spring 2021. More and more patients took place, and seemingly out of the blue, the ride started testing again in early 2021. It seemed as if things were looking up again. A spring 2021 opening could be a real possibility, but nothing ended up happening. Currently, at the time of writing the script, it is March 31st, 2021, and the ride still is not open to the public. Even worse, the park, alongside the other SeaWorld properties, haven't teased their new coasters in quite a long time. And I find this strange because as of recent, we have learned about all the coasters testing a bunch, more than ever before, and some for the first time ever. Iron Gwazi has still been a bit spotty with its testing, but Emperor, Icebreaker, Pantheon, etc. are now testing rapidly. But back to Gwazi, what does this mean for the future of the coaster and when will it be ready to open? To be honest, I cannot confidently answer that question. I really wish the parks were a bit more transparent with the status of their highly anticipated new coasters. But as of now, it seems as if all the SeaWorld projects are ready to go. I think literally all 4 coasters should be ready to open whenever the park wants them to open. This is especially true for Icebreaker at SeaWorld Orlando and Emperor at SeaWorld San Diego, but also true for Gwazi at Busch Gardens Tampa and Pantheon at Busch Gardens Williamsburg as well. If we dive deeper into the situation, I do have a couple ideas as to when we could see the Florida projects in particular open up. At the moment, Universal's Islands of Adventure has been hyping up their new roller coaster, Velocicoaster, to open up sometime in late spring, early summer. And it seems as if they're very serious about this, with tons of testing taking place every single day and occasional human riders from those involved in the project. Now, the reason I bring up Velocicoaster's opening is because this can and will put pressure on SeaWorld Orlando and Busch Gardens Tampa. Competition in the Florida theme park market has seemingly never been higher than it is now. Another determining factor is that Aquatica Orlando, which is SeaWorld's water park, has actually released an opening date of April 3rd for their new water slide that's held a similar fate to Icebreaker and Gwazi. This tells us that they are ready to open up their new rides in Florida and that we, as a community, should stay optimistic for the time being. Again, I am skeptical because of the lack of teasing, but I still think it's coming very, very soon. So to kind of wrap things up, when do I think Iron Gwazi, along with Icebreaker, will open? Because of Aquatica Orlando slide opening and the pressure coming from Universal, I'm actually going to assume that there will be an announcement made within the coming weeks for Icebreaker specifically. I also think that there will be a late spring opening for that ride. As for Iron Gwazi, they haven't been as rapid in new construction and testing, disappointing, but I still think we will see a summer opening for that ride. I think SeaWorld Entertainment is starting to recognize that they can't hold off openings forever, and that the demand for these attractions is at an all-time high. Hopefully I'm right, and we could finally see these new coasters open within the coming weeks and months, because trust me, I've had it too. But with this all being said, I would love to hear down in the comments when you think Iron Gwazi and SeaWorld's other coaster projects will open to the public. There's no way of telling for sure, and there are signs pointing at an opening soon and an opening sometime later down the line. But regardless of what happens, I hope you all enjoyed today's video. Before we wrap things up, I do have an exciting announcement to make of something I didn't want to make a full-on video for. It is that at the end of May, I will be taking my first theme park driven international trip to Mexico. I am very much looking forward to making this a reality and to bring you all along for the ride. More details will be announced at a later date, and yes, there will be a ton of content coming from this. With this being said, I wanted to thank you all again for watching, and I guess I'll just see you all in the next video. Bye guys.